do, but I often like to create lots of examples of how to talk about money. And so when I say it's an instrument, it's to put it in its place. But when we want to talk about financial well-being, that's like an experience and a feeling and a lot larger thing than one occasion. So I thought of another good analogy of how to talk about money is if you're coming up with a financial well-being plan, it's a little bit like a coach. And we get wound up in our society thinking that it's one coat that fits all, and that obviously is not the case. We are all unique people, and when we tie our money to our purpose, our financial well-being plans are going to be very different and very unique to each one of us. So a little bit like a coach, your financial well-being plan is about protecting you and keeping you safe and keeping you comfortable in your life, but it's going to look very different than from your neighbours or your parents. And what I think we do in our life is we look around us, because we don't do a lot of talking about money, and we might look to our parents as guides as to what a financial well-being, or shall we say a financial well-being coach, looks like. Or we might look to our neighbours or to our friends, or we might look to the media who's telling us, this is what is going to make you happy in your life. So instead of looking around, I'm asking you in this session to get to know you, what it is that you feel your life will look like, and by default the money plan that will go alongside that will come from that. So I encourage people, maybe if they're watching right now, just to close your eyes and to think and imagine what it is that you want your life to be like, when you will be content, when you feel that you're living your purpose. And things to consider, a little bit like a coach is, how much do you imagine yourself being in a large house, a small house? Do you imagine taking the bus? Do you imagine riding a bike? Do you imagine a large family surrounding you? Do you imagine entertaining your friends and family at your house? Or do you imagine going out lots and just being with one or two of you? All of those factors come to creating a life. And a little bit like a code, your financial well-being plan is going to follow that. So if you are living in Samoa with a huge family but not with very much, then your code is going to look very different than if you are a student living in Wellington and your lifestyle is an apartment and you're going to uni every day and you're eating out. And the idea is we all have within us the knowledge of what we believe is happy for us, and what happens in our country and indeed the world is there's lots of people trying to influence us. So if you just took a little breath and you sat back and you thought about what it is that you want, it will help you so much more in life and with the people that you trust to come up with your money plan, to think about what you need. And there's a lot of shame and things that come through our money in life when we start comparing to one another, and that's why I do encourage you to think about your plan. Often when we send our children out, they haven't had a lot of conversation about money, and so when they get out there they might see their neighbours or their friends enjoying a certain code of financial well-being, and then they think that's all that they need to do. The code of financial well-being is just for you to feel something comfortable to come along and to try and think about money the same way. One part is thinking of your dreams and actually what you want. And the idea is to understand the lifestyle that you want to lead and align that with your values. Because say for instance with my daughter who wants to become a doctor, that lifestyle is probably very achievable, and maybe when she lives that she's going to enjoy that. But then equally I have an auntie that's a nurse, and that lifestyle of living in a mansion with a pool is not going to suit her at all. And so her plan has to be, okay, well I imagine myself being a nurse and giving to my people. She's going to research obviously how much she would earn as a nurse, and understanding is she going to feel fulfilled and the values that make and drive that career, and then she's going to think about the things that surround her as she's living that life. So it's really important to know what it is that you want, so then you can imagine all the things that you might have to cater for in your money plan. Okay, great. So once you spend a little bit of time about knowing the financial lifestyle that you want to lead and how your financial plan accompanies that lifestyle, that's obviously going to change through time. So it's not just one point, but it's always knowing that you've always got to know. The next point is, if you know, you're going to be so much more able to plan for what you want. And obviously a common one that most people in our audience are going to go is a budget. And the reason that people don't follow budgets, which is a great financial planning tool, is because they forgot to understand what it was they were trying to plan for. So a budget is a great way to put your plan into place. And when people hear the word budget, there's a whole lot of imagery that comes with it, but it is simply a plan for you to achieve the financial lifestyle that you want to enjoy. Okay, and so for the next session, we're going to talk about budgets and planning. So whilst you're away and before we come back, do take the time to think about a bit about what kind of lifestyle you want to lead. And then when you come back, we'll get into probably the more traditional things about talking about, okay, how do you plan to get from where you are now to where you want to be? And can I also say, if you are in a position right now that is not good, I do want to emphasise there is always hope. There is absolutely hope in every single occasion that you may find yourself in. And it begins with talking and it begins with learning, and you're in the right place to do that with Positively Pacific. Thank you.